Hello guys, welcome to my new video, and today we'll talk about a very important topic, especially when we are just about to go with the 2026 midterm election, okay? I just want to wish you again a very happy 2026. This video should be released by January the 5th, so yeah, I just want to wish you a very happy new year, a very happy 2026 for you and your family, and I hope you to achieve incredible things and a tremendous success in this new year. So we'll talk about how does young American now, and especially young American man, because it's the one that had the highest swing over the course of the last few years, okay? We're going to talk about how that changed in the course of the last decade, and especially how and why is American man being more right wing instead of being the same left wing youth people like it was before. Okay, this is a very important shift because, as you can see here, from 18 to 24 years old, we see here that we have 48%. Around being moderate and a little bit more conservative than liberals. So we can say that the people who are until 24 years old, they are more conservative than liberal. Of course, this is 26 to 22. And then when you go to 25 to 29, you have more liberals than conservatives. But this was a lead for the liberals over the course of the last decades, okay? Youth people tend to be more liberal, more progressive, and then you go all the way to all the elder people. They tend to be more conservative, more traditions approached. Okay, and then you see that demographically speaking, you see that difference when you go all the way down in terms of the age of the people. But as you can see here, another statistic is from the Census of American Religion from previous year. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. I'm just being confused about the years we are. Now it's 2026. So 2 years ago from 2024, we can see here that, of course, men are much more conservative than women. That's, of course, a very basic thing. And finally, the man is the more conservative youth man's, than it is about liberals, as you can see here, 29 to 28. But then you go to women, it's completely different. This is the biggest gender gap in many years, okay? Because you can say that, of course, it's a normal. Women tend to be more progressive, tend to be more left wing, okay, if you will, tend to be more liberal. But that's obvious, but not at this huge difference. So the difference here is 1 to the conservatives, and here's it's about 15 points. So that's a 16 points difference, and that is not great. Okay, we have a very polarized country. That's of course the fact about America at the moment, and this is the very point when you're trying to understand why this happened. You have a lot of reasons. Many, particularly, you have a lot of Gen Z people and other people influencing in social media, telling a lot of things to the Gen Z and especially men about whether how they should behave and all of that stuff, and that really impacts the way people view the world. Okay, and this is especially to men because I don't know. You see the most impact in men. The highest swing in 2024 to Trump was in the youth men and also Latinos, but that's another topic for. We already have a video about Latinos, so this is only about youth people. And the highest swing in terms of the ages was all about Gen Z. Kamala said multiple times that she loves Gen Z voters, but she was not able to catch Gen Z men. Of course, she won Gen Z women overwhelmingly because that was expected from a democratic point of view, but she was not able to win Gen Z men. We have a lot of reasons, probably not being able to connect with them, probably not going to the Joe Rogan podcast, going there, saying things. For example, Bernie Sanders was there, and by that reason, I think that was one of the reasons why she did poorly in this aspect, and we got a huge swing, as you can see here in this article. I know Vox is not the most unbiased, but this is just about the data, okay? The Gen Z cohort swung hard towards Republicans last year, moving anywhere from 6 to 21 points, depending on the data source. So you can see the 21 points shift, it is huge. And they are now preferring the Democratic because the one that had the highest swing, and we saw that with Latinos, it's the same thing, okay? So young man, especially men, we're not talking about men because men is the highest point here because women are not seeing a lot of swing. Yes, they swung towards Trump, as like many of other like other groups, but it was not a high. It was not like 20 points like it was with men. It was much more than that. You can see here that when you go towards the elderly people, as I said multiple times, he got more conservative, and still the gender gap. But if you want to compare here, so this is 22, and the difference here is around 11. Okay, and from 11 to 22, that's 11 points. Here it's 16. So you see that still the gender gap is higher when you go to the young people, when you go to the youth population, it's high, the gender gap, rather than it was with the elderly people. It's still very high because 11 points is still a very big difference. For example, here in Portugal, we don't have that difference. Of course, women tend to vote to the left of men. That's obvious. That's just I don't know. Maybe it has something related to our way of being, to our psychological part. I don't know that. I'm not a professional in that regard, nor I am in this regard of elections. But I just want to do this because I really like it and I really find it fun and entertaining, to be honest. But it is really about that, okay? We don't see that in Portugal. I know Portugal is a very interesting case because we have a politician similar to Donald Trump, so you can say that they have a little bit of a MAGA movement, if you will, in Chega party here in Portugal. So we can say that, but we don't have the same thing. Of course, men tend to vote towards Chega and women less, but it's not a huge 16 points difference. It's still a difference, but it's not as huge as it is here, okay? When you go here, you have this graphic here as well. You can see that conservative support is stronger in older generations, which is interesting, but this is until 2020. So I chose this graphic in the sense that we are comparing this before the pandemic, before of all the last 5 years that changed politics a lot. You can see here that Gen Z were actually hating Trump across his presidency, and now that he started again, they're hating the same way, even though they voted for him in a much larger way than they voted in 2016 and in 2020. This is a very important aspect, okay? So you can see that probably social media played a big role changing the way young men think. That's probably an aspect. And also the influence that many influencers on social media, again, they did a lot of work. I don't know why, but they really helped this movement towards MAGA. Probably because right-wing politicians and right-wing people are more towards TikTok, towards Instagram, towards Twitter, or X, I'm sorry. They probably are there saying things that people in the algorithm as well, probably is playing a big role in this regard, but you cannot blame that things only. You do need to blame the politicians, okay? Because when you see the Democratic Party not able to enthusiasm the voters in the way they did before, okay? Because you see, the Democratic Party had Obama, which is one of the most influential people in the US over the course of like 100 years. And he was able to catch movements, really able to turn out voters. And now we have Joe Biden, we have Kamala Harris, we have Hillary Clinton. They're not able to do in the way that Barack Obama was able to. And they probably failed to enthusiasm the voters, and they were starting to find alternatives. And then we saw Donald Trump arriving. And maybe I'm not here to say that Donald Trump is great. I'm just saying that you cannot deny that probably many people felt a little bit lonely over the course of the last few years and tried to find other people to motivate themselves towards any goal. And probably they find here and towards the MAGA movement a little bit of hope in our society. Even though they are now turning out, they're now going away from Trump. They have a lot of disapproval of Trump, and because they probably want fast solutions. There's not fast solutions with any president, even if we had a president Kamala Harris, there's the same thing, and people will just blame the party which is which is into power, just to blame for anything they will do. But that's not correct to do, okay? Because Biden was not responsible for inflation. Kamala was not responsible for that as well. It was a part of all the money that was printed in 2020. And guess who was the president by then? Okay, so the same people that are blaming the previous administration for all the inflation were actually the people that are right now controlling Washington. And I'm not blaming themselves as well, because the pandemic is a very tough situation to deal with, and you need to really understand the situation and all the conditions that was really hard at that point. And you cannot blame Trump nor Biden for the inflation crisis we got. And even if you want to choose one to blame, you cannot do that because it will be not intellectually honest, okay? And I think that's a very important point across to our today's politics. You need to really to find a moment not to blame everybody just because everybody outside your party, and try to see things with clarity, okay? That's why the point of this channel. and also about trying to emphasize the importance of being moderate and trying to understand all the points of view. Okay, guys? So, guys, this was a video. I hope you liked the video. A little bit of a talk about young people, about why they shifted. Probably social media and happiness with the Democratic movement, because they were more Democratic than Republican. They still are, but not in the same way. And probably with the universities played a role there as well. The universities are very left wing in America. Okay, that's a fact. You can see that you go to the Harvard, to Yale, and have a lot more Democratic people there rather than Republican. Probably not a lot of Republican people at all. I'm not saying anything to criticize, because that's the way you choose to go to university or not, and probably more Democrats choose to. But yeah, that's the way it is, and maybe they are influencing now less because people are choosing social media instead of being lectured at university. Guys, this was the video. I hope you liked that video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like as well. That'll support me a lot, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thank you.